Welcome to Fully Charged Podcast, everybody. What's up? What's up? We in here. We got our guest speaker tonight. Today, what is it? Wanick, Fayette, from
What's up?
From Rugged Haitian.
Yeah, what's good? It's good to be here. Thank y'all for having me.
No doubt.
Yeah.
And of course, we are missing one of our fellow partners.
I'm not chilling.
Yeah.
So
He is out sick.
He got the little sniffles or whatever.
Yeah, something about some sniffles and some something. I don't feel good either, but I'm here. Where you at, chillin'? Anyway.
You know what make him real mad?
What?
Why he's sick? He ain't take his trash out.
shouldn't take the trash out.
That's why you stuffed up.
Alright, but get well, bro. Get well.
Yeah.
What's good? What's good? So, what's the topic?
Oh yeah. What's the topic?
The topic for today is churches and how you see it from a. I guess maybe we should have brought a non-Christian in here, but it'll be alright.
Forget that.
From
Or even just from like a Christian, like
well, that's what I was gonna say. From a non-Christian point of view, from a Christian point of view, from a pastor's point of view, from a member's point of view. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
So
Right.
just kind of trying to see it or talk about it from every different angle, and that's what we pretty much gonna be discussing today.
And shameless plug. If y'all don't be reading the blogs, I wrote a blog about this. Go check it out. Read the other ones.
On the Fully Charged Podcast, because
Yeah.
I ain't got no blogs.
Fullycharged.me.
Fully charged, I mean.
Mayo wrote one.
I wrote one, just one.
Chile wrote one.
And he ain't here today. Just saying. But, and I got a confession, I didn't read your last one. So, but I'm gonna get on top of it. I read the gist of it. The gist, what is it?
I think it's the gist.
Oh,
Yeah.
I
yeah.
think so.
Anyway, I read the yeah.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
it's alright. Much love.
Dope. So we talking about the church from a member's point of view, from a pastor's point of view, and just from a regular. I mean, because we were all non-Christians before,
Right.
so
right.
we can also subscribe to the well, not subscribe, but we give experience from the non-Christian point of view. And so, one thing I wanted to talk about is the view of church finances and money in the church. So, what's y'all thought about it from your point of view, from being a member and being someone on the outside on how churches do their finances and stuff like that regarding the community and giving and all of that?
See, well, I'm probably the least experienced out here because you a pastor, you got ministry experience. I just got young homie experience.
You got military ministry experience.
Right.
But that's completely the government pay us. That joint coming in the first of the 15th. No matter.
You ain't got to worry about time.
That's just extra on top.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I thought y'all had to put in tithes and offering.
Nah, they do be taking it at the church, but they use it for like so if we wanted to do a trip, like for our battalion or whatever, we would take money out of that to do the trip.
I thought Cass would be like, I ain't got much, but I got this MRE though. I can put it in.
Nah, take that back.
We don't want them dry days.
The Lord don't want this.
We know you got paid today because we all got it. This is what you need to be giving. I'm like, Sister Carolyn, pass it back. I know you got paid today.
Yeah, what's your rank? Oh, all right,
Yeah, I know how much. I know the minimum, so I'm expecting nothing less. 10% too. So don't you lie.
Oh, snap, bro.
So what was you saying, bro?
From my point of view, it's tricky because I know it's a lot of things that need to be done. So
Right.
If you look at a church, I guess it's like bad to look at a church like this, but as a business, they still got bills to pay, they got staff to pay, they got, all the things a regular business does, but it's that, I guess it's not mandatory, but it's kind of mandatory. You got that community aspect as well.
Right.
So it's a whole nother level to finances. But where I be like, I ain't gonna put out no names, maybe my old pastor watches this, but
you just called them out.
Maybe. But some churches, I'm gonna say that some churches, they'll start a project saying, God put this on my heart, and this is the time that it's supposed to be done.
Right.
I'm not going to question if God put it on their heart. Pretty sure He did, but maybe not put that timetable on it.
Mm.
And then when it get close to that timetable, be like begging for money. That's where I be like, all right, maybe you can't be doing all this.
Right.
So that part of it is like, all right, I don't like the begging. I maybe just be like, this is what a Christian's supposed to do. Lay out the groundwork.
Right.
Like, yo, you're supposed to give up 10% to the Lord, sow your seed, and you'll reap the reward. But not just like, if you don't sow your seed, you're going to hell type joint. You know what I'm saying?
I agree with that. And also on the other side of that, just looking from a member standpoint, I guess, I think it's important for the church to explain what the money is going, what they're used for. What exactly are they, paying with this money? What are they doing with the money that's coming in? Specific church that I really enjoy, I'm not gonna say no names or nothing, but they have an annual meeting every year that talks about the budget and goes into detail. Like, this is what this line item means, and this is what this money is for. This is how much we need from last year. This is how much we had, and this is how much we need for this year. And kind of going through things like that. And it's not like a mandatory meeting. It's for those who want to know about the money. And so I don't feel like it should be something that should be preached about every Sunday, or really any Sunday. You should be preaching about besides unless you're teaching on tithing,
Right.
But because I've been to churches that are like you said, begging for money. Like, every Sunday you go, they're still talking about, make sure you tithe. You gotta do this and do that, and the pastor driving around in the meetings. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
What are you spending all that money on? So.
Yeah, no, I agree with the both of you. Just real quick, from before I was a believer, and I would see big churches. I see big churches, and I'll see the people that go to those churches, and I would see homeless people on the street, and I'll see some people that go to that certain church, and they live in the inner city. And I would think, man, this church has all this money. Why don't they get the person out of this neighborhood? Why don't they help out this homeless person? Help them get a house, help them get this, help them get that. And that was my mindset on the outside of the church, where I didn't know where the money was coming from or what it was being used for. I didn't know if it was a certain project that had to be done and whatnot. So I was just looking at it like you said, a business. Y'all got all this money that is not taxed. Why aren't y'all doing any good with it? And then what doesn't help is the view of prosperity gospel churches, mega churches, where the pastor is just speaking about money, and the people in their neighborhoods are starving. But the pastor got a jet, got like a $2 billion mansion, got all of this. And so when you're on the outside of the church and you're looking in, it's like, man, these pastors are crooks, they're liars, they're this, they're that. When I became a pastor, it was like, oh, well, I understand why they didn't give to the homeless person. Why that there are still people in their neighborhoods, in the ghetto, in the projects, and they aren't living that certain life. And what I learned from the most part is, as a pastor, and I learned this because a lady called the church and she was like, hey, I don't have any money for groceries, So can you help us out? Now this lady was calling like 2 towns over. 2 towns over. But I didn't know that. I'm thinking she's calling from the immediate community.
Yeah.
So before I asked her where she lived, I was like, yeah, I'll come and pick you up. I'll come and drive you to the store to get you some groceries. And she said she got money, she just need a ride. So I'm thinking, all right, cool. So I was like, I already told her I would do it. And then she said, yeah, I live in this part of town. I'm like, bro, that's 2 towns away. So I had to drive 35 minutes out to pick her up in this bad little house joint and then drive her to Giant Eagle, and where I stayed in the car for like an hour and some change while she gets some groceries, which she took advantage of my time. She didn't say where she was located, because my thing is, as a pastor, one, I'm responsible, and this changed, well, I'm gonna finish the story. So she wasted my time. She had fleas.
Bro, wait, you can't just brush over that. She had fleas, like
She was part dog. What? No, she had cats, bruh. She had like a whole bunch of cats.
with her in the car.
No. No. She had cats, and like the cats had fleas. So she had fleas.
What did you see him?
They fleas. I ain't about to see no. I ain't got flea vision.
I mean, with animals, you lift up a part of their fur, you might see it. So I ain't know she lifted up her hair.
Hey, check this out.
The reason she had fleas, cause I said she had fleas.
Dirty. What you mean?
I'm driving and she come out, scratch. I'm thinking, oh, you got an itch, scratch type stuff. I ain't know a flea was on you, scratch. And it wasn't until I get in my car driving home, she like, I see something on my steering wheel.
Oh,
I'm like, what's that? I'm looking, and then that's where the flea story came from. Like when I got attacked by the flea in the car, it was from her. So, but before I dropped her off, yard looking ridiculous, she said, can you come by later and cut my grass? I'm like, this ain't my house. Like, this ain't my property. You got a landlord. This is his responsibility. And then she proceeds to say, well, I got this coffee table that I bought that from OfferUp, but I still owe the guy $20. Can you pay it for me? And I'm like, no, I didn't tell you to buy this coffee table because you were irresponsible with your money and your finances, but you want me to buy your coffee table. And then she had a fridge in her house. She was like, oh, well, come in. I want to show. I'm like, first of all, you're a woman. I'm not about to go inside your house by myself with nobody else around. I was like, nah, I can see the fridge from here, from the outside of the house. Go ahead and open the door.
And number 2, you got fleas.
Right, you got fleas. You got fleas. And so all of that happened. And then she called the church and she was just really mean and rude to my secretary because she was asking for help with a new fridge, cutting her grass, paying off her coffee table. And it was like, first of all, you're not a member of our church, one. Not to say that you have to be a member for us to help you, but this is to get to the point that I wanted to make. First of all, you're not a member of our church, one. And as a church in this specific community, we are called to this specific community as a church. Yeah. As a church building, you're called to the community that is around your church, because there's churches on every block. I passed like 8, 9, 10 churches on my way to pick her up. Why didn't you call the church over there? Why didn't you call the church down the street? Why didn't you call them? It's not my church's responsibility if you have a church right there. For me to help you out in this capacity, that's one, taking away from the ministry of the church that's near you, and that's taking away their blessing, because I'm pretty sure they want to help you, but you bypassed all of them just to get to my specific church to take advantage. And then I have to ask, well, why didn't you contact those churches in the first place? Did you already burn those bridges? Did you already disrespect them? Or are you not even going to church? You just, because what I found as a pastor, people take advantage of the system. People say, oh, well, I'm down on my luck. I really need this. And it's like, man, I would love to help you, but you did this last month. You gave me the same story last month. And so then I get to the point where it's like, I'm sorry, I can't help you. As a church building, our church is called to our immediate community. Just like because if every church took responsibility for their immediate community, that's like me struggling with my church at home, or struggling with what I'm struggling with at home, and I call my church in Florida. I call my church in Roanoke. It's like, this church is around you. Why aren't you taking advantage of that? Why aren't you building community? Why aren't you outreaching over there? Why do you feel the need to call where I'm at? Just like Lamore said, like, it's great you want to be a missionary and all, but there's a city right here that needs missions, that needs missionaries to come out and do this. And so, as a church, you're called to your immediate community, and as an individual, we're called to give when we have it. So wherever we go, we're called to give, but as a church, and so some people get mad, it's like, oh, this church is doing this church is doing that. It's like, first of all, you don't know the church's financial situation.
True.
People look at my church, it's like, oh, you got this big church. It's like, actually, this church was built over 100 years ago. So don't look at it now and say, no, we got all this money. You see these cracks on the wall. You see these cracks on the wall. You see this. We still need some paint on the parking lot type stuff. We don't right now. We don't, just in case you're listening. We don't right now, but it's like,
you dogging us, supposed to be all back.
Right. But like, people say, oh, you got this big church, you should be doing this. Like, we do help people in our congregation. We do help people in our community, but when people take advantage of it and you don't want to do any better, you don't want to get better in your lifestyle, learn how to manage money, you cannot blame the church and blame the pastor for that. And I think that's really what it is, because people blame the churches and pastors for them living in poverty. And it's like, well, no, you don't know how to manage your money. You are on government assistance and you don't want to pull yourself out of that. And you're fine with where you're at. So don't look at the pastor that's, let's just say, he's driving a nice car and he has a nice house. Sometimes some pastors, they get other jobs because the church can't support them. Yeah. And that's completely fine. It's like, well, you can't say the pastor got a nice house, he's taking the church's money. No, he got another job, and or he learned to manage his finances. Some pastors make $20,000 a year, $14,000 a year. It's just, they're wise with their money to budget and plan that they can move out of poverty. But if you have a mindset to say, oh, I want to stay where I'm at and I want to continue attending this big church. Well, when you hear people talking about the church, don't say, yeah, this church don't do nothing for me. Say, no, I like the state that I'm in and that's why I'm where I'm at.
Yeah. It's like we was talking about off camera. You know, I was riding down the street and there was a dude had a sign, I'm a homeless vet. Mm-hmm. So, and they had millions of programs for homeless vets. And all you gotta do is call the number and be like, hey, I'm here at this street corner. They'll come pick you up, take you to a shelter, and then put you in a program to get you somewhere where you're financially stable. And I offered it to him. I was like, hey, I'll call him for you. And he was like, no, I'm good. So you don't want to help yourself. Right. You just want somebody to
they want that continuous handout. They don't want to work because they know, well, I'm gonna have to work for this, so I don't want it. I would much rather be out here in the street. And that's great because I didn't know they had that for vets. I thought, yo, why we got all these homeless vets? But it's like, a vet will know these are your resources where you can go. This is the stuff that you can tap in and take advantage of. And the same thing with regular common folk. There's shelters, there's organizations, there's nonprofits for all of that. And it's just like, do you even want to get better?
Yeah. Well, and on the other, I like to look at the other side of things, as y'all all know. But just thinking about, like, I wrote that blog on financial assistance, and just looking at things like that, you realize, yes, people aren't willing to get better, but also the system is set up so that people don't get better.
True.
You know what I'm saying? True. Those programs, yes, they might help you with financial literacy, but are they really helping you move from that? Like, are they just teaching you a class and just saying, okay, great, or are they actually walking with you and trying to help you understand what that means? You know, and I'm not blaming anybody. I'm not saying anybody's right or wrong, but we have to consider that when you think about things like that, because I don't know, I think about many programs out here that help many different types of people, but there are so many stipulations on the grant that they're using, so they can't, you know, have somebody who, I don't know, let's say somebody's trying to get better, trying to get a GED or something,
Right.
but they can't come into the program unless they have a criminal record.
Right.
So it's almost like saying, like, oh, you got to go do something wrong, then you can get into the program. Like, how dumb does that sound? You know,
Right.
So it just, people are in different places, and a lot of these people, though, from my experience, a lot of the homeless people, a lot of the people who are just kind of asking for help are not really looking for help. They're more looking for a fix.
Yeah.
And I at least that's what I have realized with. Because there's a story with the homeless guy. I saw him walking down the street. We were coming out of a restaurant. He was like, oh, please, can somebody get me something to eat? Please, there's a group of us. And I was like, okay, yeah, I got you, man. What do you want? So I go in and get the menu, and he told me what he wanted. I go back in and order, and he was gone. So did he really want the food, or he wanted money?
He wanted it.
You know what I'm saying? So that's just one story of how, you know, many different kind of stories like that. But I feel like we're going off topic. So
I can see from the point of a pastor, like, because there's a line. So it's either you helping or you enabling.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
So most people I'm not going to say most because I don't know, but some people on the enabler side, they just want an enabler.
Right.
They look like, hey, come cut my grass, come give me a new refrigerator. And that's going to mess up the view for the ones that want help.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just going to change your whole mindset. Like, man, did they really just lose their job? Or are they like not looking for a job and just want this money month to month?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And it's hard too, because when you turn people away, people then go to everybody else and their mama and say, well, that church is messed up. That church don't like these type of people.
Mm-hmm.
That church don't like these type of people. They don't help you out. And it's like, yo, first of all, don't play with my name.
Put some respect on my
Right, put some respect on my name.
I'll treat y'all.
Right. First of all, don't disrespect me like that, because we did try to help this person. This person just always comes to us every single time and say, hey, somebody is sick. I need to get down to Florida. I need money for a train. And it's like, they're always sick this time of year, every time. Man, I'm paying for a trip to Disney World and I don't even know it and whatnot.
You try to go to the beach real quick.
One time, I was at my house and this dude came, and it was late. It was like 10 o'clock at night. This dude came asking for some money. And this is why I'm just like, gotta get a gun. Because cats just feel bold enough to come to your house at 10 o'clock at night. As a pastor, they know where you live, and when I look across the street, it's like,
reckless.
Yeah, like, imagine if my wife answered the door. You get what I'm saying? And so he came to the door. He was like, yeah, I need $30. My wife kicked me out, and I need money for the hotel. And I say, all right, great. Which hotel are you going to? He goes, well, I'm going to the one up the street, and he gives me the name. So I already know he's lying. Well, at this point, I feel like he's lying. And I'm like, and he says, well, I know this other pastor, and I've been go there. So I said, yeah, give me a second. Let me put on my shoes. So I call up the pastor. Hey, do you know such and such? He said, yeah, the pastor says, yeah, he's a cool guy, da-da-da. So at this point, I'm like, all right, cool. Mm-hmm. So then I say, yeah, let's go there, and I'll pay for your hotel room. He's like, oh, well, you ain't got to do that. You could just give me the money, and I'll go there myself. And I'm like, well, do you want the room or not? Because I'm offering it to you for free. You ain't even got to do that. You might even get an extra 2 nights with me going down there. But he's like, nah, I just want the money because my ride, he's going to drive me to this place and drive me to that place. And at that point, I was like, all right. He said, well, I'm going to pay you back Friday. So I go down the sheets, pull out $30, Give it to them. And at that point, I already counted the money lost. Technical difficulties, but we're back. That was an ad. So
Sponsors, hit us up.
Yeah. Shoot. Let's segue into what can churches do to better help the communities.
Yeah, so I really feel like that the church spends a lot of its time and effort and money on overseas missions and supporting people overseas and what they're doing there, which is great work. I didn't say that last time. Which is great work. Because I don't want to be sounding like I'm like a bad, no, don't do missions. But what I'm saying is there are so many people here in America, in Roanoke, or Johnstown, and wherever you are, who just need support, who just need somebody to get behind them and push them and say, hey, all right, I see that you are really good with working with special needs people. So let's try to figure out a way to get you to do that better. They have youth programs and summer camps just for special needs kids. Or let's say somebody is really good with finances. So why don't you lead a finance class for the community, not just for our church? So just different things like that, pushing people where their passions are instead of trying to say, do either support these people over in the missions or pushing people to go to missions. What about the missions here? We have people who are struggling just the same way as somebody overseas could be struggling, and they're not being helped just because they're here. And so that's just my personal opinion on it. And again, I don't have any animosity towards people going overseas or anything like that. I've been on overseas missions. It's a great thing. It helps people come to Christ, but I feel like we need to do better
in the home front.
At home, yeah. Helping people come to Christ at home.
I was overseas too, and it was just hot.
Nah, but like I said before, the ad came up. Like I said, I think it's this mindset that it's much easier to send your money overseas and say, oh yeah, well I feel good because I sent money to go help out this missionary. I sent money to go feed the children. I sent money to go do all this. And it's like, that's great, but where's that same energy when you leave the church and you have that homeless person next to you? And you're just like, well, don't touch me, don't get near my car. Yeah. Or you're afraid to go into those hard communities that surround your church. You're afraid to walk into those communities. You're afraid to go help out. You're afraid to do all this. Yeah. But you have no issue with sending the money overseas. And I think for some people, it's just, I feel better, like my good deed has been done. Yeah. I'm sponsoring this child in Africa. I don't need to do anything else. I don't need to go help.
Or not even necessarily overseas.
Yeah.
I have a church that's right down the street from my house.
Mm-hmm.
And I live right in the middle of the hood. All right, maybe not in the middle, but
pretty good on
not in the middle no more. But I got
a piece of the pie.
Got some chickens in there.
Hey, my own fresh eggs.
Right.
Shameless plug. If you want some fresh eggs, holler at me in about a few months or so.
And they're gonna be waiting.
You gotta pre-order eggs.
Yeah, I take Cash App. I take Venmo, anything you need. But no, I forgot what I was saying. Oh, church right up the street from me. They do nothing in our community. None of the members even come from our community. They all old, but they come from different counties, different places outside of the city, and they just come in and fill up our street.
They old as
but they old as I don't know what. But they don't.
I can't say nothing. I got a lot of old. So I'm just sitting there like, yup.
I mean, so when we first moved in that house, I'm walking my dog or whatever.
Right.
Y'all know I love dogs. My dog is very well trained, you know. So
Best trained dog I ever seen.
we walking up the street or whatever. I'm walking there just like nodding, waving at the church. Remember, it's Sunday morning right before I'm going to church. And so, dude, look at me. Old man, got his car parked on the line, like right by the door, as if he can't walk or something. He's perfectly able, so I ain't talking about no crippled people or nothing. But I'm walking by, and he's like, I wave, go on, let lady do her business up the street. We coming back, and dude look at me and he say, keep that dog off the grass. And I looked at him. I said, what? He said, don't let your dog get on our grass. I said, your grass? Ain't this God's grass? What you mean, your grass? And I kind of went off on him. And said some
I live here.
I said some unkind words.
You just visited.
Yeah, you just here one day a week.
I was like, you just had your car on the line. What do you mean keep my dog off the line? You act like I ain't gonna pick the doo-doo up. I said doo-doo. But I know your podcast is kid friendly, so I'm
supposed to be kid friendly. Hey, we going up in rating.
Hey.
13, man.
Nah, but that just kind of set a tone for me. Like I was gonna visit that church. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's a really old black church that's been there for years. And I'm just like, I don't even want to go up there now. You know what I'm saying? And I can't imagine if I wasn't a Christian, I probably would have said even worse things, or maybe even done worse things.
Right.
Trained Layla and P just specifically in that yard. But I can't imagine like how people see the churches like those churches who are not really welcoming at all. Like he didn't even say. I can see if he said, "Hey, can you make sure you pick up if she poop on the yard, on the lawn or whatever?" No, he's like, "Get that dog off the lawn." Like no, hey, what's up? How you doing? Nothing. Just straight up.
That's crazy.
Yeah, man.
Similar story. So we used to take those trips. I was a chaplain assistant in the Army for Wanick fans. So we'd take trips, and we was going to. We went to Arizona. So we was driving back. I was driving a van. The chaplain was driving his own car because he took his son with him. We stopped to get gas. And there was this, I'm assuming she's homeless. I know she was drunk.
Soon she homeless. But I know she was drunk.
So she came up to the van, and I'm from Roanoke. I'll talk to you. I don't care what I ain't afraid.
Right.
Let's just say that. So I was talking with her, and she went over to the chaplain. The chaplain was supposed to be, the moral compass for the whole battalion. He's supposed to be the man of God for the whole battalion. He looked at this lady, bro. He didn't open his door no more than this. Slid into his car. And then it just like locked the doors, had drinks on his roof, forgot the drinks on the roof.
He was like, them drinks.
He's like, hey, mark it up to the game, they gone. I'm like, bro, all these people in this van looking at you, not even talking to this lady because she might be homeless, she is drunk. Like, what is that going to tell them? Like, oh, you should avoid these people because they are less than type drunk. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm like, bro, I ain't like him anyway.
Right.
I don't want to be violent, but if I saw him on the streets, I might fight. But
come on, man, PG-13.
See, it was about to go right now. I'd be like, I F him up.
I wasn't about to fight nobody. No, I agree. 100%. And I honestly think it's in all churches. It's in all churches. It's it's those 1 or 2 or 3 people in the church that make people think this church don't like black people. This church don't help out the community. This church don't like the neighborhood that they're in. Mm-hmm. This church don't like this. Because my church, to be honest, it does not represent the neighborhood at all. Just like Lamoria just said, most if not all of our, most of our members, like a good 80-90% of our members don't live in that neighborhood. They drive down from the hill, they drive from wherever to come to the church because they still love the church. And that's great. However, we need to step out of the church, step out of the comfort zone, because if we're going to reach people, we need to leave the church, get out of the church and start ministering and doing that, because that's the only way that I feel that we're really going to grow the church, that we're really going to change the view that people have of church and change the stigma. Because right now, like, churches are being hit every which way. Mm-hmm. Every which way. And when we have 1 or 2 members that tell people, don't let your dog be on the lawn. And what's crazy is, he didn't even know you were a believer. He didn't even know that Lamoria was a Christian or any of that. He was just, get your dog off the lawn. There's no, hey, our services start at this time. We'll love to have you. Hey, that's a nice dog you got there. Nothing to build relationship, nothing to connect with the neighborhood that the church is in. And I feel that if we do that, and that's what I'm trying to get my church to do, it's like, it's great we have all this stuff in here. We have our children's services, we have our luncheons, but if we are not going out and build relationships with the community, our membership will continue to decline because we've done nothing but hold in the power, and it's like, eventually the battery's gonna die. Mm-hmm. If we don't bring in external sources, external energy in it. And so, no, I agree 100%.
Like, I don't, who be going to doors? Mormons?
Yeah.
Doors? Like, I don't believe their beliefs, but they be some soldiers on the streets.
Yeah, they be riding.
Yo,
they
literally riding on bikes. When bro, you on a bike, it be 90 degrees, you got a tie,
long sleeve shirt, black band, ready to give you the Book of Mormon.
Yo, they be soldiers on the street.
And they committed, bro. When we lived in where we lived in the hood, they came to our house. And they came 4 times. They was not quitting. And we were like, yeah, we'll talk to you on this day about it. And we would talk to them a little bit. Then they'd say, all right, I'm going to come back. And I'm going to leave this book for you. I want you to read it. And they literally would come back, ask you, did you read it? Ask you how you doing, what's going on in your life. Like, sit down in your living room talking to you. Like, these, no offense to anybody watching or listening, but these are like young white dudes just in the brave, sitting in people's living rooms,
knocking on doors, don't know what's on the other side.
Right now, it sounds like a mission trip,
right?
But that's how we should be living.
That's why their churches, their joints. That's why they're places of congregation. They're places of coming together. That's why their numbers keep growing, man.
And to be honest,
that's
it's not even really about numbers. It's more about relationships.
They're going out, and they be annoying. Because y'all think white Mormons are bad? Haitian Mormons are 10 times worse.
I didn't know that existed.
Me either. Yo.
No, we got
Haitian.
We got.
05?
Well, we'll just go till they kick us out. But
Haitian got Haitian Mormons.
Haitian Mormons. When we lived in Hurt Park in the hood, they found us. And they kept coming. They had this white lady. Her Creole was trash, but she was faithful. We moved from that hood in Hurt Park to Bluestone. How they find us? On the other side of the road,
bro. They got a Haitian
checkbook. Haitian GPS. We got this Haitian, this one moved. We gotta find it.
We seen the pages this month.
Right. Went to Bluestone. They came back, and it's like everywhere we went, them Haitian Mormons were there. And I was like, yo, y'all persistent. Y'all persistent.
Mm-hmm. So you live in her part before they tore it down?
Yeah.
We was in the real dirt.
We was in the original
dirt.
We was in the original.
We was in the OG her part.
Yeah. And so like all of that, they work, they get out there and they get their media. Like they have sectors. It's like you handle this part, you handle that part, you handle that part. And it's like they're trained, it's like no fear. They go into these neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Why are we doing that? And I tell people this all the time. I'm like, I don't like when Muslims go hard for Allah, I be like, yo, why are we passive? Why are we so passive? Why aren't Christians doing the same thing? If somebody disrespecting God and saying something about our beliefs, why don't we turn up and say, yo, you shouldn't do that? Matter of fact, let me correct you. Let me tell you what it is.
Yeah.
But we don't do that. Like we're passive. It's like, nah, I don't want to hurt nobody.
You know something that's crazy?
Take time. You keep talking.
Well, you gonna have to cut this part out because you ain't in it.
We got 13.
All right.
That was an ad.
Hey, we getting views.
Hey.
Right. Low key, nah, not that much. But if you want to get on the ground floor, it's the time.
Elevator open.
Why we cheap? That's why we cheap.
Nah, but what I was saying is, dang. Oh, my pastor is talking about like how we have the Holy Spirit living in us. We have the power that raised Jesus from the dead living in us, and we're scared to live. You know what I'm saying? We have so much protection, and we should be out there living like we're victorious, because we are.
Right.
I almost said Victoria, but
No.
yeah.
See, but that's kind of like the thing, you know, plugging my boy Wanick, DTL, so dying to live. So we're supposed to be dying to live, but a lot of times we just live in the die type joint. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Snap.
So we need to be living low key reckless instead of being like playing it safe. But along the lines of what you were saying, bro, in my heart of hearts, sometimes I want to be like, I want to lovingly correct somebody,
Mm-hmm.
like a person that you got in an argument with on Facebook. But, I'll be like,
And I was trying my best, bro.
but sometimes I'll be like, yo, I know, like, if you just look at history, you could see this, or this. This is history. This isn't even American history. Look at African history. You can see this, and this. But then I just be like, I can't do it because I'll turn up instantly.
And so all of that too, that
Close it out.
we need to do better as a church, and we need to and as a church body, to be honest, start correcting people when they disrespect what we stand for.
Mm-hmm.
And correct people and say, hey, this is, if you want to know, whenever we hear somebody talking about, oh, the church should be doing this, the church should be doing that, say, hey, if you want to know what's going on with the church finances, our church, like, we have meetings that's open. It's like, if you want to know what's going on with the finances, feel free to come. We send out a newsletter. This is the money we got in this month. This is who, well, we don't know who gave, but this is where it went. This is where it went. This is who, how we serve this money. This is that. It's like, it's not a secret. It shouldn't be a secret.
Right.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be a secret. And we just got to leave those doors open and say, hey, if you really want to know what the churches are doing with the money, feel free to come. I would love to tell you about it. I would love to. Matter of fact, come join my church. Come join my church. Join the trustees. Join the trustees to see what they do with the money and whatnot. But y'all got an outro?
Of course.
Yeah. But shoot, that's it. been another episode. What episode we on? 7. Special thanks to our boy Wanick, the Rugged Haitian.
DTL, Dine Live.
Thank y'all for having me.
No doubt. This is a simulcast, so hey, shoot, you catch it 2 times.
Right.
But make sure you go over to theruggedhaitian.com, right?
Yeah.
And follow the Rugged Haitian on Facebook. You got Instagram?
Yeah.
Instagram, all the social media platforms. Follow us. Facebook, Fully Charged. Website, fullycharged.me. Instagram, _fully_charged_podcast.
YouTube. Hopefully you already subscribed. If you haven't, you need to. Don't get us confused with the car people. We gotta figure that one out. Cause every time people type in fully charged, they get the cars, and you gotta like figure out how to get.
Nah, but sometimes our Jones be up towards the top. We moving on up.
I be subscribing, so I get notified.
See it? Go ahead and subscribe.
When you look on YouTube, type in Fully Charged Podcast, and you should find us.
Yeah. Subscribe, like, share. Till next time.
Peace.
Yeah.